Today we're going to be looking at attacks from the elbow tie. A lot of people are going to be looking for inside position anyway, so if we can just be good from our elbow ties, it's going to be a great skill to have. And it's also good if we're having a hard time getting our partner to engage, right? A lot of times if we fight for our inside ties, our partner might think like, instead of wrestling this position, I'm going to clear out of his ties, get to my ties, and wrestle for my ties. If you give him inside position and work from elbow ties, they're more likely to wrestle that position and not kind of strip and run away. So with that being said, we'll be looking at two main positions, one where he has a collar tie and I have an elbow tie, and one where he has an inside tie and I have an elbow tie. So first thing is we're going to be looking at two different variations of an elbow pass. But first we'll look at the grips that I can make on his elbow here. So this is kind of up to preference. I really like grabbing like really high up in the armpit and clamping down and bringing my forehead kind of into his shoulder and his elbow into my chest. But there are people that prefer grabbing down here by the elbow where they feel like they have a little more leverage, or in the middle of the tricep where you get like a middle ground. My preference is up here because I find like I have a lot more control of his center of mass, although I might not have as much leverage. First thing we'll try is an elbow pass where my partner isn't pressuring into me, so I'm able to gain ground on him. I have a collar tie, I get my elbow control, I pull my head into his shoulder, and now I'm gonna start shuffling forward, and my partner's gonna allow me to gain ground. If I feel this, I'm gonna think about rotating this elbow inside his wrist, like so, as I shuffle forward, and I think about just slipping his forearm over my head and getting to a situation where my forehead is right outside his shoulder here, right? I'm not looking away from my partner. I'm not really level changing or anything like that. I'm just shuffling forward and like scraping his forearm off of my forehead. I start shuffling forward as I rotate his elbow in and just wipe. If I get my elbow control, I pull it in, I start coming forward and he pressures back into me. Now that move isn't gonna work anymore. What I'm gonna think about doing is tucking my chin to my chest. The easiest way to think about this is I kind of look between my legs and I pull on the shoulder as I attempt to roll the back of my head around, and then again get to a situation where my forehead is on the outside of his shoulder. I just kind of dip my chin and my head quickly. I'm not looking away from my partner, I'm not level changing, I'm not creating a lot of distance. I'm staying on him so I don't lose that connection. I pull, I start shuffling forward, and he braces against me. Now I just think about quickly looking between my legs as I rip down on this elbow tie. And I get right here, I'm not creating too much distance so I can re-attack my partner, okay? Now those are gonna be the setups. How you attack after that is up to you. You can hit whatever shots, snaps you want. But I want it to be ingrained into you guys. Clear ties, create action. Clearing ties and getting some sort of score. Okay, however you get there is up to you. You can feel free to be creative. You can get easy scores. Snap down, go behind. Easy, low effort. You can go for double leg, single leg, high crotch, whatever you want, as long as you're getting a score after the hand fight. So it kind of really depends on the situation, but the point is, get that off, attack right away. Now, usually with this free hand, I'm going to be fighting either to have this wrist or to make sure this isn't controlling anything else. So if he were to come up and grab my collar, for example, I'd be thinking about always peeling and keeping this hand from controlling anything. Now, if I can keep my hand at bay, I can come up to this situation where we have mutual collar ties. And from here, I'm going to hit a really cool snap that I've been working on recently from this kind of mutual collar tie situation where I have a tight grip on his tricep. The key to this one's really going to be tucking my chin to my chest and kind of looking in between my legs so his collar tie slides off. As soon as I get mutual collar ties, I have such a good connection to his upper body that as I start pressuring forward and sagging down, I can control his posture, right? Because there's so much connection up here that when I lower my level, his level lowers. Now, as I'm lowering his posture and pressuring forward, I feel his pressure back. I do that same thing where I hit a slight hop backwards, I open up my legs, look between my legs, and yank down this elbow tie. So again, see how his hand kind of slips off? As soon as my neck kind of passes this angle, his hand will slip to the mat. Elbow tie, I'm pulling it tight, I'm always fighting this side. I get an opportunity to go mutual collar ties. Now I'm pulling down as I pressure forward. I change direction, get his hand off, and go for some sort of score from these situations. Another thing I can do once I've won the battle for this near hand, whether I've captured his wrist or I've just simply not let him connect to me, is I can start bringing my head to the other side, and this gives me a whole new array of opportunities for scoring, right? I can use this hand to move his head and get my head to the other side of his body. A lot of times this will prompt him to take an inside tie because his collar tie feels kind of congested. So if we're here and I start switching my head and getting a grip here and kind of pulling my head into this opposite side, oftentimes my partner will instinctively switch to an inside tie here. If he starts with an inside tie and I have my elbow tie, I can just think about using this free hand to fight my way to an inside tie on this side. And here I'm pulling this elbow up. So now we're not working from a collar tie situation anymore. We're working from an inside tie situation. I'm moving my head to this far side, getting a grip here if I can, so I can pull my head in here. Now, same thing, I'm using these grips to sag down and shuffle forward, and he's gonna be bracing against me. Now from here, I'm gonna think about using this elbow to pull up and bring my head across the line that like a car seat belt would be around his body. So I keep this grip up here tight, I pull this elbow up, I take a big outside step on this side as I go down to this front knee, and now I pull down for a nice clean elbow control duck. I pull in, I get my head to this side, and I start bringing everything in. Now, if my partner keeps the collar tie, I can still do the same move, but most good wrestlers will switch to an inside tie in this position. He goes inside tie, I get an elbows control, I pull it in, get my head on this side. I'm pressing, and he's bracing back. Now, as I drop, everything happens at once. I'm taking an outside step, I'm rolling my head, and I'm pulling this through. Sometimes people feel this duck, and they start to pull back, and you don't get that clean finish, but you can switch to a double leg, switch to a high crotch, so you can still get to a score from here, even if it's not like a super beautiful clean duck. Like it could just look like a double leg. All right, so this last one is gonna be an elbow control slide by, and I can do this one when they have a collar tie or an inside tie from my elbow control. One cool thing about this variation of a slide by is that it's much less telegraphed than other slide bys. Like for example, the traditional slide by, if you have a collar tie on me, where I'm kind of snaking in and then I get my own collar tie and snake through, that's like very telegraphed. As soon as people feel me pushing here, they're thinking he's going slide by, right? I feel like there's so many options from the elbow control that when you throw the slide by in there, it really kind of catches people off guard. They're not really expecting a slide by from there. So same thing where I'm gonna be winning on this side and looking to come up to the head. The other moves, the stance wasn't really important. I could have done either from either side lead. For this one, I do want to lead with whatever side I have the elbow tie, because anytime I'm trying to get around my partner, it's going to involve this kind of like crow hop footwork. So again, I'm coming here, I'm winning on this side, and now I don't like to hang out here. I like to come up and go for the slide by immediately. Now I'm thinking of going up near the top of his head, so I have more leverage. I'm not coming down by his shoulder. And as I pull his head straight down, I pull his elbow straight up. In this one, I actually want to create a lot of separation between his head and my head and lean everything down and toward the mat. So again, I'm here, I've got my elbow control, I win on this side. Now as soon as I get this collar tie, I go. Collar down, elbow up. My shoulders kind of rotate, my head faces the mat, and now I shuck this elbow through for a slide by. I'm looking away, I'm looking down, and I'm twisting my shoulders. So my shoulders are now perpendicular to the mat rather than parallel to the mat. Getting my elbow high, other elbow low, and shucking his elbow through. This one works super well against someone wrestling you on their knees. So say they want to shoot a blast double, or they just faked on you and they're on their knees. You can approach them, they collar tie you, and you immediately go for a slide by. So it's a great technique against a kneeling opponent as well. All right, y'all want to give it a shot? 1, 2, 3.